Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. This is part 2 of our pregnancy and fertility journey. Thank you for tuning in. I know this content is a little bit different than most of the stuff I put out on my channel, but it's very personal and it's very important that we talk about this stuff. So part 1 left off with us getting the green light from our endocrinologist that we were allowed to finally start trying 9 months after getting off birth control. So I had high hopes at that point. I felt like I had no reason to believe it wouldn't just happen because we'd finally gotten all my symptoms under control and I was having a regular period. So October was the first month we were really able to try. I remember the weekend that my period was supposed to start, Jordan was in Boise visiting one of his friends, and I was like, oh my gosh. I, of course, in my mind, thought I had had all of these symptoms. I was so excited. I had planned out, he was coming home on a Sunday, and I think my period was supposed to start on Sunday. So I planned to take a test that morning. If it was positive, I was like gonna go to Target or Buy Baby and get all the stuff to like decorate the house so that when he came home from Boise, I could tell him like, surprise, we're pregnant. So it is October 25th. This was our first like real month trying. And it could be all in my head because I've waited for this for so long, but I swear after my ovulation this month, I'm having like lower abdominal pain, like cramps, but like lower. I also have not been sleeping very well. And of course, when you Google any of these things, it tells you you're pregnant. So I've been waiting so long to take a test because I was like, I know if I take it too soon, it's just gonna say no and I'll just be sad. Well, I'm officially 6 days out from my period. So I was like, well, first response says they can tell you 6 days before your missed period. So I went to the store on my way home today, Jordan's in Boise, and I bought a first response test. And I'm gonna go look at it and I'm kind of freaking out. Not pregnant. And I was like, oh, you know, like I just got excited. It was our first month. Like it's not gonna happen for everyone in the first month, like relax. So then we move on. Next is November. So I didn't want to be obnoxious with Jordan of being like, today's my ovulation day, time to, you know, or like any of that stuff. I wanted to keep it kind of exciting so it would be a real surprise to him when we got pregnant. So he happened to ask, I don't remember why, he asked when my period was supposed to come, and we were traveling to Phoenix to visit his family for Thanksgiving. And I was like, oh, my period's supposed to come like while we're in Phoenix. Well, we do Thanksgiving, the whole like long weekend, everything. We're driving home on Sunday or Monday. And he was like, so has your period started yet? And I was like, no, you weren't supposed to like pick up on that. I wanted to take a test when we got home and like surprise you if it's positive or whatever. And he's like, oh no, I've been thinking about it all weekend. So then I knew he was paying more attention to it than I gave him credit for. So came home that day, took the test, again, it was negative. And I was like, okay, it's fine. Like it's only month number 2, whatever. But then my period didn't come for like another 10 days. It was like 40 days or so between periods. And that was really strange. So I think I ended up taking another pregnancy test just to make sure. Of course it was negative. So my period was over a week late, but all the pregnancy tests were like, nah girl, ain't your time. And I was like, okay, that's fine, but could I just get a period so that I can ovulate again, so I can try again? So kind of freaking out in a good way. So I was gonna wait this week until Wednesday to take a pregnancy test just because I've been doing it like every month since we started actually trying. And just took a break from working to use the restroom and noticed a little spotting, and I was like, okay, this could be like my period starting 5 days early, or it could be like the implantation bleeding that they talk about. So I Googled and I was like, okay, when does spotting occur, like after, you know, the baby making? And it said 10 to 14 days, which is literally right now. So I'm not gonna take a test for 2 more days. I'm gonna let it work itself out. Fingers crossed on Wednesday, we could have a positive result. Freaking out just a little bit. It's, I think January 6th in the morning. I took a pregnancy test and then I hid it from myself behind the shower curtain while I finished like getting ready for the day. And now I'm going to look at it. I had been feeling for the past couple days that it was like for sure 100% gonna be pregnant this time. But then of course this morning I'm like, no, it's probably not, because it never is when I think I am. So we shall see. Every time. So it's month number 5. Yeah, month number 5. And my period was supposed to start yesterday. So if it didn't start yesterday, I was gonna take a pregnancy test this morning. So I woke up this morning, didn't have to go to the bathroom, which was weird. So I just like brought the test upstairs with me. And guess what started at 9 a.m.? We'll try again this month. And so December was negative. January, again, it was negative. February, we did a fun little romantic getaway for Valentine's Day, which we don't usually do. And it so happened to fall over ovulation weekend. And I was like, oh, how cool would that be? Like, we're doing this romantic getaway. We stayed in this cute little cabin. We actually did a video of that weekend trip, so I guess I'll link that down below if you want to see where we went. I thought that would just be such a fun story. If you're trying to get pregnant, you're obviously really closely tracking your cycle and like, what are the ovulation days? When's the day I can take a pregnancy test? All the stuff. So this is the second month in a row that literally the day I'm gonna take a pregnancy test and get all excited, and I've been thinking about all my symptoms the last however many days, I go to take a pregnancy test and then I don't even need to because my period starts. And then today I was like, well, just in case it was just implantation bleeding, I'll take one. Yeah, that's a no. Figured I should share this part of the journey as well. It's becoming a little bit of a tradition, shall we say. I always get really sad, obviously, on the day of the month where I get another negative pregnancy test. So I ordered myself some takeout. Jordan is out with some friends, so I just ordered myself some Panda Express. Went to my favorite grocery store, got myself my favorite froyo, and I'm watching a girly cry movie. I mean, it's a little bit lame, a little bit sad, but you know what? Helps me work through my emotions, because we got another month to power through, and maybe next month will be the one. We'll keep hoping. March was month number 6. I don't know if you've heard this stat, but they say 50% of couples will get pregnant within the first 6 months of trying. So March was kind of a big one in some ways, just because I felt like if it happens in the first 6 months, you're in that like good, healthy 50%. Granted, after 6 months, it's not that you can't, but that number goes down to 30% of couples get pregnant in the following 6 months. And then the other 20% generally have some fertility issues or things they have to work through. So March, initially I was like, I don't even know if we want to try in March, because that would be a Christmas baby, and all my friends and family members that have like Christmas week birthdays, they're like, oh my gosh, it's the worst. Like, you never get to have birthday parties because everyone's traveling. You only ever get one gift from all your family. And so I was like, do we even want a Christmas baby? But of course, we've been trying for 6 months at this point. We're not going to not try just because the time of year is not convenient. So the other hard thing though was that my ovulation window, we were both traveling and we were not traveling together. So I was judging the Miss Washington, Miss Oregon pageant that weekend that I was ovulating. It was not planned that way. The pageant was actually supposed to be in November, but Oregon went through another like back phase in their COVID process, and so all events were shut down. So it got moved, and it got moved to Jordan's birthday weekend. So I had already committed, we'd already done all the interviews. Like I couldn't not judge this pageant just because it was his birthday weekend. So Jordan decided he would travel to California to visit some friends while I went and judged the pageant. Again, I have a video on the pageant and judging that weekend if you want to see that. So that weekend comes, feeling a little sad because the week leading up to it had been so busy. So I don't even know if we really had gotten much trying in that week. And so I was like, okay, it's not gonna happen, whatever, it's fine. We're gonna be in that first 6 months, that first 50% that don't get pregnant, whatever. So I fly to Oregon, we're doing the pageant weekend. That weekend I went out to brunch with my friend Erica, and she was about to take me back to my hotel, and she was like, oh, you know what? I actually broke some of my wine glasses. Do you mind if we like drop by this Crate and Barrel right over here and then I'll take you back to the hotel? And I was like, oh yeah, I've got time, like no problem, whatever. So we go into Crate and Barrel, and then she was like, oh, I actually have to go to the restroom. Like, do you mind if we start upstairs? And I was like, again, sure, whatever, I'm just along for the ride. So we go upstairs in this Crate and Barrel. Lo and behold, the baby section is right next door to the restroom. So I'm on ovulation weekend. I've already succumbed to the fact that it's not happening this month, but I'm a glutton for punishment. So I'm gonna go walk around the baby section of this Crate and Barrel. So I'm walking around, and those that know me know I am obsessed with the idea of having a boho llama baby girl nursery. I just think it's the cutest thing. My Pinterest board is full of it. So I walk into the baby section. First thing I see, a tiny, adorable boho llama. So I pick it up, I'm literally cradling it like it's a baby, and I'm walking around the baby section of this Crate and Barrel. Look at the price tag. It was like $40 for this like tiny little stuffed animal. And I was like, okay, I'm not buying this today. So I walk back over to where I grabbed it from. I'm about to set it back down on the shelf. And I happen to look to my left, and me and Jordan, I will preface this by saying, we do not agree on baby names. We haven't gotten pregnant, so we haven't really gone down the rabbit hole too far, but every name I tell him, he hates them all. We are not on the same page. There's one name and one name only that we have ever agreed on for a baby, and it's a baby girl name, which goes along with the boho llama theme. So I go to set boho llama back down on the shelf. I turn to my left. There's an embroidered blanket on this little bassinet, and it has our baby girl name on it. Nothing else, just her name. I felt like it was just God's way of telling me, like, there will be a boho llama nursery. There will be a baby girl. It's all gonna happen. You just have to trust in my timing. And I just felt my spirit lift so much in that moment. It just felt like such a godsend, just like reminding me that it will happen, just to have faith in his timing. And so I just walked away feeling so good about that experience. Of course, I had to take a picture to document it. I sent it to Jordan. It was just crazy. Well, then the next day I'm at Erica's house. I had stayed with her that night, and then I was gonna fly out the next day. And we're sitting there talking, and she happened to mention she was tracking her ovulation, and she was trying a few different tests. I was like, oh yeah, I decided if it doesn't happen within the first 6 months, which clearly seems like it's not going to, I'm going to order the digital ovulation test. I'm gonna start that on month 7. And she was like, oh, I have a whole box of those, and I actually like the other ones better. Do you just want to take this box? And I was like, oh sure, why not? I was so excited. And then I happened to check my app, because the whole first 6 months, all I was doing was I was tracking my period within an app. It gives you your like ovulation week, and then you're supposed to do it like every other day within that week. So that's all I've been doing. Well, I checked my app. I happened to notice that I was on the very last day of my ovulation window. I was like, oh, I wonder if, like, is there any chance I haven't ovulated yet and I could still, like, potentially get pregnant, like, when I fly home today? So I go in the bathroom, I take the ovulation test, and how the test works is it's a blank, like, solid circle if you're not ovulating, or it's not your fertile window. It's a flashing smiley face if it's like, oh, you're in the broad window, but you're not at your peak fertility. And then it's a solid smiley face for the 48-hour window that you are at peak fertility. So I take this ovulation test. It comes back that I am at peak fertility that day. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I had this crazy God experience at Crate and Barrel. Now I'm taking this ovulation test. It says I'm at peak fertility. Oh my gosh, like could this be it? So I fly home that night. Obviously we had to, do the deed. And it was like 2 days later, I was at the gym doing a Zumba class and jumping up and down. I was like, wow, ow, like my boobs kind of hurt. And then it hit me, oh my gosh, like, could I be pregnant? Like, could it happen that fast? But then as the days went on, I just felt like I was noticing more and more pregnancy symptoms. Like I was exhausted, I was gassy, like all these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, this could be it. So I was set to take a pregnancy test on April 1st, ironically, but we were going to see our family, or my family, over Easter weekend. So I wasn't going to take a test while we were there. I wanted to be able to potentially tell Jordan first, then we could tell my family when we see them. And so this was probably the most hopeful I had been about taking a pregnancy test, while also I've had 6 months of no's. So I was still having a hard time visualizing that 2 lines. Good morning, friends. Well, it is that time of the month again. So I think I already did a little video going over some of the symptoms I feel like I've had this month. And I had that crazy Crate and Barrel experience with the Lord, and then I was at peak ovulation the next day. So I'm like, this could be a really cool story, but we'll see. I'm trying not to get my hopes up too much, but at the same time, I feel like I definitely have had symptoms. And then a new one, you can probably tell by my voice, is like yesterday, I started having a cold come on, which according to Mama Natural, you can often get cold in early pregnancy because your body is busy building a baby, so it's not really doing a very good job of fighting off like colds and things. So I'm going to go take my little test and we'll be back. Okay, time to look. This is the hardest part because I almost don't want to look because I had so much hope this month. I'm afraid if it's no, I have to wait another month, but I need to stop thinking like that. Just have to look at it. Eventually, it will say yes. Oh my gosh. You're kidding me. I was so upset because that was like the nail in the coffin of you are not going to be in the first 50% of people that get pregnant in the first 6 months. Like that's not you. That's not your journey. And that was a hard one. And then as I was sitting on the couch, I realized it's April 1st. Some people think it's funny to do fake pregnancy announcements on April 1st. So it's April 1st. I filmed taking the pregnancy test this morning. If it had been positive, which it clearly wasn't, I was like, oh, make it kind of like a cute, fun way to tell Jordan of like a no joke, you're gonna be a dad. Like I had that all planned out and I was like, oh, how fun to take the test on April Fool's Day because then I can tell him in like a different way. Well then, as I'm sitting here thinking and moping about how it was our 6th month of it being negative, I was like, you know what? Some people on April Fool's Day post pregnancy announcement pranks. If I see a single one of those today, I'm going to lose it. Straight lose it. So I was just terrified to go on social media that day and see someone posting like a ha, we're pregnant, when I had just taken my 6th month in a row of a negative pregnancy test. And it made me like prematurely angry. That's about where we're at. Thank you for tuning in for part 2 of the pregnancy and fertility series. I know this is a lot of personal info, but if you came here to watch this video, you kind of signed up for it. So no apologies for me there. But again, the reason I wanted to share all of this is because I did not have anyone in my life really that had struggled with pregnancy or fertility. It's not something people in my family generally deal with. It's just me, lucky me. So I just felt really isolated in that, and until I came to YouTube and saw that there's a lot of other people who have gone through similar and even much harder situations than what I'm going through. I'm not trying to say that my pregnancy fertility journey has been the hardest. I'm not seeking sympathy by any means. It has only been 16 months. I recognize that is not a super long time compared to some people's journeys. So hear me say that. But I just wanted to be here to be able to share our story because it's a little bit different, and potentially there's someone out there who's gone through a similar situation. And I just want to be able to be an inspiration to share what we've gone through, and hopefully within the next few months, I'm praying we'll be able to share some good news that will show you that it is possible that we can have a baby. So that's what's next on the horizon. So be looking out for part 3. I think I'm going to share kind of a pre-cap. Is that a thing? I filmed a video for you guys about, so obviously it didn't happen in the first 6 months. What are we doing differently for the next 6 months? So I have that video, which will be coming out as part 3. And really hoping part 4 is going to be just us having a baby. So stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe to this channel if you want to see any of that content. I know I sure do. Also putting it out there, it is my goal by the end of 2021 to have 1,000 subscribers on this channel. So if you would be so kind to subscribe to this channel, I would absolutely be so grateful. And thank you for joining me on this very personal, very long-winded journey to pregnancy and our fertility story. So thanks for joining, and I'll see you guys next time.